What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up?
And Daniel Acevedo.
We're back. Let's go.
What's going on? Again, we're playing musical chairs over here. It's the holidays. So please tune in if you have not to last week, where it was Shannon and Chris. Excellent week of episodes. Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, I actually do have Ask CISSP. It'll be with Lynn Dom. That one is done and now being reviewed. So hopefully it'll be up in time. And then Fridays, everything else. Movies, books, games, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from NBCnews.com. It's written by Kevin Collier. And the title of this one is U.S. Officials Urge Americans to Use Encrypted Apps Amid Unprecedented Cyber Attack, right? So FBI and CISA, right? They said it's impossible to predict when these telecommunication companies would be fully safe from interlopers, right? Because what ended up happening was, we've seen this before, right? But we got cyber attacks on telecommunications companies. We got AT&T and Verizon, right? Those are some of the big ones out there, right? So what they're starting to recommend, U.S. officials are starting to recommend, is that Americans use encrypted messaging apps to ensure their communications stay hidden from foreign hackers. Here's where this, I don't want to say it gets a little dicey, but here's where it's a little different, right? Because you got some of these United States agencies that are like, well, wait a minute, we don't want you to totally encrypt it. Yeah, we want you guys to be safe from interlopers, but we don't exactly want you to be safe from us when it's time for us to look for stuff, right? But again, this is kind of what you have to choose between, right? Like, so for me, I kind of see this as, a lot of people are not going to do this, right? A lot of people are not going to go to the WhatsApp and all these other secure encrypted communications and whatnot, even voice communication, not just text communication, voice communication. But even though encryption is good for you, a lot of people just aren't going to do it, right? It's the inconvenience of it, to where you have to open up another app or do whatever, right? It's not going to happen. I know my wife, she's a different phone user than I am. And I know the company that we go through for our messaging, they actually made it to where they're like, yeah, we're just not supporting this anymore, right? Because we're on different devices. When it comes to Apple, everybody's like, oh, you want to see the blue bubbles, right? Because we seem to get it in our heads that we only want to talk to people that are similar, right? But it's my wife. I can't cut her off. You know what I mean? So I get a green bubble.
But you have to, Shannon.
I can't for the security of it. I'd rather look. I'd rather just go deeper into the, I'm not on social media now. I'm not on text messaging now. I'm not on a phone. I'd rather go that route, right? It's either do that or lose 50% of my stuff. I'm not there yet, right?
Shannon, do you really think that's the way people are going to pivot? Because I feel like a lot of the social media and kind of like where the youth especially, are like, people in these days, they use WhatsApp a lot. A lot of people are on iMessages, even Facebook Messengers, end-to-end encrypted. There's a lot of messaging apps there. People kind of gravitate towards that more, I would think. I feel like it's a cross-pollination between iPhone and Android users and traditional text messaging.
The Facebook stuff is native, right? So I get what you're saying, right? And you're talking about the younger generation as they're coming up, right? But that's not the majority of people that are out there. Like, you got older people that have technology that are just like, this is what my grandson told me to do. You know what I mean? And they're not looking anything into it, right? So you're just stuck with what you're stuck with. Now, I know it recently they just made it to where the RCS messaging was going across both platforms when it came to iOS and Android, right? So that's a little more secure. It's supposed to be, but it's not totally 100% secure, right? But yeah, I don't see a lot of people changing it over and going to WhatsApp and going and doing something different. But I could be wrong on this. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
No, first thought when I read this, I was like, man, the new season of Mr. Robot's going to be fire. This is amazing. Like, what's going on here right now? It's a pretty big hack. They alluded in the article, they said it's the biggest intelligence hack on US soil, probably ever it's going to be, once everything is said and done, which, if you take that into account, that's huge, because, they hit him with the 3-punch combo, right? Metadata, let me look at my notes so I get this right. So it was metadata, the phone, the live phone data, and then the CALIA, Communication Systems for Law Enforcement Act information, right? And when you combine those three together, I mean, you can get infinite possibilities. It's kind of scary. And in the article, it even alludes to, and it says that, they're not going to let the people of the metadata know who is being targeted. And they don't want to really also kind of go into the Kalia data either, which kind of makes me think that in addition to just getting mass information out of the telephone companies, this is a targeted attack as well. And law enforcement says it can't really talk about it because they're trying to protect who is being targeted, since they don't even know when the cleanup is going to be done or how the cleanup even is going to go into effect. Right? They're still kind of like scrambling at the 2-yard line right now, trying to piece all this together. And it's going to take them a long time. This is going to be a long outfall. I'd be surprised if we even hear anything about this again, just because of the sensitivity. Yeah, well, go ahead, Ryan. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think it's also a matter of sharing capabilities, right? Like they can't tell you specifically how China is getting information because they're using the same capabilities to see how China's getting your information, right? So it's like,
Yeah. Definitely. And they don't want to tip the hand because they want to be able to, if they have any type of pulse, follow that to see where it leads, to then be able to either reverse engineer it or, X, Y, and Z. There's so many things we can go into in this article, but I think broad strokes, it doesn't look good. The U.S. has sent the criminal organization and says it has a lot of work out for them to kind of clean this up. What do you think, Ryan? Am my head is right in this one, or you think
yeah, no,
it's...
I think you're both heading in the right direction. So if I may, right? So from my perspective, everything was cool until we started to cross streams, right? Like the old Ghostbuster reference. Everything was fine. We had end-to-end encryption before Apple finally capitulated and said, okay, now we'll try to send these texts between platforms in a more secure manner, which was apparently not very secure at all. Vice versa, right? Doesn't matter because I'm an Apple apologist. Doesn't matter if Apple is the problem or if it's Android or what have you. But end-to-end encryption was a thing on each platform, right? So if you send an iMessage, and then encryption was there. If you send, I don't know what Android calls their messaging, probably just text messages, right? They don't try to be fancy. It was encrypted end to end. Now between the two, it is not. So like what Shannon was saying, like, you can't cut off your better half and things of that nature. I think everybody should just go back to their silos until this is figured out. Because right now they're trying to say, Shannon winced, because now they're trying to say, well, let's use a third party app, right? Use a Signal, use a WhatsApp. Most people don't want to do that. They like this simple, easy solution. And I have a messaging app on my phone already that's native. I want to use that. Well, determine who your Android friends are and your Apple friends are, and then stop sending them texts. You know what I mean? Like keep it on your side of the fence until this is figured out. And I'm not trying to bash Signal or WhatsApp, but I know I won't say for a fact, but if my memory is correct, when I was still active duty, I was in Sicily when Signal was hacked, right? So they're not impervious to being hacked as well. Because I remember a lot of us were using Signal at the time, and then we found out that there was a breach. I think WhatsApp also had a breach, but I cannot remember. And when I try to Google it, I can't find it.
They probably have. I remember them having one, but I don't know when it was. But no one's impervious to being,
Right,
ransomware
exactly.
or data stolen. So
Yeah, so I don't think it's really a matter of picking a different app at this time. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to stop people from migrating to one of those, but I don't have any friends outside of the military that use Signal. Signal just I only know people in the military that use it. I don't know any of my civilian friends that use it. Well, maybe two of them. But then when it comes to WhatsApp, I haven't used WhatsApp since I came back to the States. So, and I only used it when I was overseas because it was the more secure route, and I didn't have to share my real number with,
yeah,
their version of Door Dashers and things of that nature, right? So I felt a little bit more secure in that and doing that as opposed to using my real number. But in the States, just like I have a phone number, I have a native app. So I think it should be a matter of like, if Apple or Android can't fix it right now, then it should be personal restraint at this time. Like, hey, it's just not secure to do this at this time. So you should think about it. Take 5 minutes to think about it. Figure out like, is the bubble blue or green, and then stop sending text to the opposing side for now.
So you've earned a new nickname today. You're Ryan the Rock Williams, because you're just like, it doesn't matter what you send. But here's the thing though, right? And they actually mention it in the article, right? Like they don't know when they're going to get these interlopers out of here, right? Like it could be one of those things where it's just ongoing. So if that is the case, like you run the risk of one of these two dying off, right? Android has the despite you being the Apple apologist, like when it comes to the rest
Yeah.
of the world, Android's kind of got it. You know what I mean? Like Apple's creeping into that share, but they're not
Mhm.
in America. Yeah, they're probably very good off, right? But everywhere else, no. Like you're gonna get to the point where Android might start creeping
Yeah.
into that.
You know what's a funny thing though is that so obviously I'm Puerto Rican. So in Puerto Rico, WhatsApp is used a lot.
Oh, okay.
It's very huge. And then internationally, like here in Japan, they have an app called Line, end-to-end encryption. Everybody uses Line. Nobody, unless you have an iPhone, nobody sends iMessages or like it's either Line or iMessage. Puerto
Mhm.
Rico, it's either WhatsApp or iMessage. And then in Korea, they have an app called Kakao Talk, which is the same thing. It's a messaging app and it's widely used. So I'm almost feeling like this might be a US problem. I feel
Could be.
like,
Yeah.
I think it might, I don't know. I feel like internationally, like a lot of these countries use these messaging apps a lot,
Right.
but we're having this conversation now. And like, I'm just grasping that this might be a thing that's kind of very centralized to here, which is still an issue though. And if they don't know when this cleanup is going to happen, then I don't know, you guys tell me, do you see anybody pivoting or is people just going to keep on messaging, you know, all frilly willy and
They're gonna keep using their native systems. It is.
Yeah.
zero protection, just out there?
That's what we do.
But here's the thing: depending on what you're doing, like, do you care anyway? Like me personally, like the stuff you see in text, I've already told myself I'm never running for public office. So if that stuff does make it out, it's not going to cost me the presidency. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things, right? And I'm not saying I'm out here doing anything crazy. You know what I mean? But I say some stuff that I don't say here. And I'm just like, hey, all right, that we're gonna shut the campaign down now. Like we can't have that.
No, I think you bring up a good point. I think anybody who's doing something that would be worthy of public shaming or blackmail is probably already using some other means to transfer that data, right? Because they're actually thinking about it like, oh, this can't come out, right? As opposed to we normies, right? We're just making tasteless jokes and things of that nature. So we don't really think of it in that manner. At least you would think so. Like if you out here just freely being a bad egg, then that's on you. So China will be sending you a letter in the mail, pictures of your text. That's what's going to happen. But no, I think it's a good subject. Like hopefully we do have a feel good story early next year where you're like, okay, they cleaned it up or they found another means to secure it or things of that nature. But like Daniel said, they might just go dark. They might stop talking about it.
Like so Daniel even brought it up, right? Like they even talk about in an article, like they had a big breach over there around DC area. They said they're not going to tell them about it. They're not going to notify the people around DC. Like this is where our government
Yeah, that's the North Capital region, right? Yeah. So yeah, so we'll see what the like my famous tag, right? We'll see what the future holds, ladies and gentlemen. But definitely just think about what you're sending because you don't know who may be reading it. And then think about if you want to attempt to make it more secure by, in this case, staying on your side of the fence because you still do have that end-to-end encryption or pivoting to a third-party app to protect your data. So only the onus is on you. No one's coming to save you in this regard. You have to figure out what you want to do. But continue to tune in throughout the week. Again, Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Stay safe. Stay secure.